Hello, this is Dr. David Pomeroy, your host on ADHD Focus, podcast that looks at dispelling all the myths around ADHD. And today we got a real interesting program about financial planning. I know that's a terrible word for people with ADD to hear the planning part, but that's all right. We've got an expert that can help us sort it out. Simi Mandelbaum is the founder and CEO of PROSPR Financial Wellness, which she started in 2019 to help people reduce the stress and anxiety they feel around money. She is a certified financial therapist accredited by the Financial Therapy Association. I had no idea there was such a thing. Also an accredited financial counselor and a certified financial behavior specialist. Simi, welcome to the program.
Is that enough letters for you? Enough confusion yet?
Oh yeah, a CFT, AFC, FBS, etc. We met at the International ADHD Conference last fall in Anaheim, and I went to hear your talk because I figured, okay, I can use some financial planning advice, how to do that. And I was very impressed by your, I think, unique approach that fits well for ADHD. And we'll talk about that in a sec. So tell me about financial therapist. What is it you do with something that's a financial therapist as opposed to, yeah, I'm a financial planner here, do this and that.
Yeah, so in the financial sect, there are financial planners, financial advisors, and they're dealing with your money. They're numbers oriented, they come up with a plan. As a financial therapist, I'm sort of dealing with a couch and a spreadsheet. So we're dealing with your emotions and thoughts and feelings towards money in addition to the money. And the reason that's helpful is that people really think that money is about numbers. But in actuality, 90% of the way we save, spend, and even earn money has to do more with our emotional component than just a numerical digit.
Yeah, that's great. And certainly people with ADD are emotion driven, interest driven. And yeah, you can be interested in saving money and whatever, but interested in like, okay, if I put it here, it's going to earn some interest, great. But that may not get you to where you want to go, which of course, trying to figure out where we want to go. What, 20 years from now, are you kidding? I'm going to focus on today and next week. So the thing that was unique, I think, about your approach is the visualization part. And we're visual thinkers, most of us with ADD. So this is I think, unique part of what you do. So how did you arrive at visualization as a place to start?
But it's not only visualization. What happened was, as I set up the business, I set it up like a neurotypical person. You know, this is our system. This is the way it works. You input the numbers, we talk about your emotions, and it all works out. And I noticed that there was something missing. And it became very apparent when one of my clients we did something called a 30-day-old money, which is we prepare for the month in advance. And on the first of the month, we put the money into the accounts that will take you the whole month. And this prevents a lot of living paycheck to paycheck and a lot of feelings of stress in the relationship because the money's there in advance. And then during the month, your other account is getting full. We took like a couple of months preparing for this big momentous occasion. We finally had the money and we were going to start. The second day in the month, they come into my office and the money's gone. And the husband, who was a wonderful guy, maybe experiencing a lot of ADHD and neurodivergency, said, "Oh, I saw money in the account and I paid off my credit card bill because that's great. I paid up all my debt," with no recollection about where and what we had just set up, even though we spent months doing this. And I'm like, what am I missing? There's something I'm missing here. And I was like, there is something that is, I'm seeing a certain style and type. And so I realized that this neurodivergency is an area that is not served well. And I started really learning it and getting comfortable with it. In fact, I created systems in the business to support that neurodivergent part, whether it's an app that's visual, whether the work that we do together has visualization or kinesthetic, where you're touching it, where you're feeling it, where you're doing something to connect with it.
Great. That sounds so much like the right here and now. Oh, I got this credit card bill. Oh, there's money, but no thought beyond what you see at the time. This is now, that other stuff is not now. So I'm going to use it for that because that's good, right? To pay off a card. Yes, but not if that's not fitting in your plan.
Not if you're not if the whole point of that was that you shouldn't incur more debt. And what we're doing now is, since we don't have the money, we're incurring more debt. So just because you paid it up really didn't do much service for you, right? So that was what, yeah.
Yeah, because now you've got all these other things like rent and food and whatever, but where are you going to get the money to pay for that? Well, you got to go back to the credit card. So you're going around in circles. Let me see if I can share my screen here and we'll look at your picture, your success. Uh,
So this was a little activity, to just give some preface to it. This was a little activity created to try to have someone connect with what we say, like you said before, the future, when it feels so far away. How do we bring the future to make it more palatable, make it more real, feeling it that it's there? And part of why this was done is that they did a study and they noticed that when they had people that were spoken to about the importance in businesses that offered 401ks. And they spoke to the people about the importance of matching or putting money towards your future, as opposed to the people that had this visualization or some component to it. The people that actually contributed to that 401k jumped by 73% when they were able to visualize it. And that's because it became so much more clear rather than this like hazy feeling about what it is that we're headed for. So specifically for ADHD or neurodivergency, this works amazing. Remember, anything that works amazing for a neurodivergent person works even better and even as just as great for a neurotypical person.
Sure.
So this is something we did. And so we talk about this in 6 steps, something we made up. And I like to say, should I start and how this works?
Yeah. The close your eyes. And
Yeah.
was reading this again last night. Imagine my life once I've achieved financial success. Picture what? Picture being on a beach.
Yeah.
Picture looking
So
at my spreadsheet and it's
it's a good
got big
practice.
numbers.
Yeah, this is a great question. So first off, I really like to start with you being centered. Very often with neurodivergency, your brain's like all over the place. So really settling down, if you're sitting, putting your legs on the floor, putting your palms on your thighs, feeling the support of your chair, sitting into it, putting your shoulders on top of your hips, getting into like a breathing where you're just inhaling and exhaling, closing your eyes, letting your chest expand as you're inhaling, really expanding your chest. If you could count to 4, hold it for 4, and then release by pushing your stomach all the way into your spine for a count of 4 as well. So we're just going to settle in here. You're just sitting here. And as you're doing this, I want you to just focus on your tongue on the top of your palate as you're inhaling. And as you're exhaling, you're pushing your tongue away. Getting comfortable, feeling your exhaling, your stomach expanding, your stomach contracting. Keeping your eyes closed in this place, I want you to think about what it would look like if you achieved financial success. You're somewhere, you're sitting, and you suddenly see these green little droplets in your mind coming down from the sky, just slowly falling. And as they're coming closer to you, these green droplets turn into dollar bills. And they're coming at you, and you're grabbing them, and you're cascading them into your lap all around you. And as these dollar bills are coming, things that you've wanted to do with these dollar bills start popping like little pictures and bubbles around inside your head. Take a moment to see what little pictures come up from these dollar bills. Think about who's in those dollar bills. Who are the people surrounding you there? Where is it taking place? Is it inside? Is it outside? Is it in front of a home? Is it in a big open space? Think about what it is that you're seeing around that. See if there's any smells, any scents that you could pick up. What colors are there? Is there a bright blue outside or a candlelit? What may be coming there? And as you're looking at these pictures, one picture in particular comes a little bit larger, and it keeps on that dollar bill, and that bubble of picture keeps growing larger and larger, making the other ones smaller. And this picture is where you look and you say, wow, I did it. I did it. When you feel this picture, when you're ready to see that picture clearly, open your eyes.
Got that one.
And now I would like you to have a pen and paper. Really, it would be markers. And I want you to start coloring what you just saw. Start coloring it. Doesn't have to be perfect pictures. It could just be whatever came to your head. Start putting it on that paper.
Okay.
I want you to get more granular. I want you to tell me the colors, the ear, the temperature. I want to really know about it.
Purple, lavender growing on one side and kind of hills in the distance, and it's a little hazy because it's real warm out, and it's just a nice cozy warmth, and sitting in a chair on an outside patio, nice little table next to me.
Is anyone
And
around you?
yeah, my partner's there, and we're just enjoying a nice late afternoon in Provence in southern France. And that
You're
would
in southern
I love.
France. There's this nice lavender, warm area. Is there any
Mhm.
food around? Is there any games around? Is there anything you're doing?
Just enjoying taking in the view and just enjoying being there in that warmth. And I don't have to, definitely don't have to have any electronics. I hope there isn't Wi-Fi there. Uh, and
Okay.
just soaking it in.
So now I'd like you to draw me circles in that picture of what pieces of what you just told me do you consider successful?
Mm,
Draw me about 4.
boy. Um, one is the view, seeing some low hills. The other is the lavender, that nice and purple and kind of rounded rose. Um, and having my partner with me. I guess that the patio chair table, just that here's a home kind of feeling. Behind us is that little house, stone uh, roof. So it's just the immediate environment is cozy, even though it's outside.
Yeah. So I'm hearing 4 things. One is the mountains behind you and the warmth. 2 is the fact that you're with someone important. 3 is the fact that you're in something that you feel is stable and secure, a home or near a home. What was the 4th one? What did I miss?
Um, the lavender and the color and the shape, it's just a really peaceful feeling I get when I see that purple and green and just the nice rounded shapes of the
But
lavender bushes.
I'm really getting the fact that you feel content and you feel you have a good feeling in this. And that's what success feels to you like. Success to you, it sounds like, feels when you're able to be in the moment, detached from electronics with the people that are closest around you. Is that what, did I get that right?
Yep.
Okay. So now you've got 4 circles. And I'm curious if you could shade in the circles. If you shade in the full circle, it means that you today, that you accomplished that. So shade in how much of that circle you are at today. Where the 100% shading would be, I achieved it. Where am I today in any of those circles?
Boy. That that okay.
Okay. Now I want you to write a number of 1 to 4 in order of importance. Now that you've shaded them in, you see how far you are from that goal. Which one would you say is my number one goal that would make me feel closest to this picture from these 4 little circles?
That patio table chair that just kind of stable outside, but it's still cozy.
Okay. So the patio table chair, you filled in that shading. How far would you be comfortable sharing how far that shading is?
Yeah, I'd say about a quarter to a third.
A quarter to a third. So can you share why? I'm curious about what made it a quarter to a third. What have you done already
Um,
towards that patio and home that it feels like that?
the balcony I have at my apartment looks out into a green belt, and they're huge trees. They're 2 feet around. And it can be warm and there's all the green there. I ignore all the bulldozers and stuff that all of a sudden started behind it. So that's comfortable. I'm sitting, the balcony gives the kind of the cozy feeling, but it's warm. And it's just comfy out there. I don't have to have the phone, electronics, whatever else.
So it sounds like I'm curious why you only gave it a quarter or a third. What is it missing?
Um, Having enough time in Seattle when it's warm enough to do that, for one. Um,
Okay, so
and
time.
and um, it's smaller than I want it to be. That is, there isn't that kind of a lot of the outside and yet cozy because there's a wall here, the wall behind me, and railing. So it's closed in, but it's still not that I'm in the open. If I could be on a more open porch looking out into a field, then that would do it. So it's close. It's got the feeling there, but it's still not that kind of expanse that I.
Yes, I think I hear 3 things. I hear time. I don't have as much time. If I had more time, so I'd like you to write that down. Time is one of the goals.
Mhm.
The other component is temperature. The temperature is not as warm. And the 3
Mhm.
is expansiveness. I want more expansion of this area. Did I get that right?
Okay. Yep.
Okay. Tell me what I missed.
Um, I think that's right.
Okay.
That the expansive, larger, definitely the temperature. I mean, to enjoy that kind of thing, it's got to be more like 75. Definitely not 95 stuff. And time, and that's the toughest part for me, is that the time to be able to sit out there and enjoy it, at least right now.
So from these three things, time seems to be the biggest hurdle to overcome.
Hmm.
So I'm
Hmm.
curious. Yeah, so temperature is not hard to overcome.
No, I mean, I could do this in uh, other places when it's July and August here in Seattle. I don't think there's a more beautiful place to be. There's mountains everywhere, blue sky, um, water if you want to go on the water. So it's that limited amount of time that's here. Yeah. Um, what I not exactly sure where I'd go to find that. Go to Eastern Washington, Arizona, New Mexico.
So you have an idea that you may travel to one of these areas, but you're not sure when.
Hmm. Hmm.
What would be one step that would take you from a third to two-thirds?
Oh boy, 2/3. The time part, and that would be to, this is hard to say, to retire from patient care practice, which I still do, um, to be able to do podcasts and writing and speaking, things that just don't fit into um, 5 days a week being here, one day a week doing the podcast stuff, and 4 days a week seeing patients.
So it seems that you have a structure now that doesn't allow for that much flexibility, and you would like to have a little
Mm-hmm.
more flexibility.
Mm-hmm. And yes, that's possible, but there are a lot of moving parts to it
Mhm.
to get from doing what I'm doing now to having more time without, yep, I have to make sure I'm in touch. And even if I'm on vacation, when I was at the conference in Anaheim, I had to line up a time I could talk with my office manager about messages and do some messages and things. So that's that's always there.
So you have a packed schedule that even when you're away, you're not really away,
Right.
and you're not sure how to adjust your schedule that would make you more likely.
Um, this is where the logistics part, because if I cut down on patient care time, overhead continues, but revenue is less, which means I don't get paid, but all the other bills are done. And that doesn't work.
Yeah, so it becomes another money issue.
Yeah. Developing another income stream.
Mhm. So part of what you're thinking a solution is developing a new income stream that may allow you
Mhm.
to
Ease
step
out
back.
of. Hmm.
Okay, so it sounds like you're already putting that into place.
Yes.
Okay. What would be is there anything else that comes to mind that may be available to release you of some of that structure to have more flexibility? I'm curious about that.
Hmm. I haven't come up with a way to do that in terms of more the kind of easing out. I mean, it
Mhm.
seems like it's okay, this is the cutoff time, but there's got to be the other planning so that going forward from that, things will still work financially.
So you're not certain how to take the next steps
Um,
other than the current method that you put into place, which is start a new income stream.
right. I don't see another different way that's going to get me toward 2/3 of that circle
I'm curious
And
if you've ever been exposed to anyone or know anyone that has been in somewhat of your position or has run a business similar that has been able to pull back.
that's the tough part. No, I don't. And anytime, and I've talked to some physicians who their second career has been helping people plan their retirement and going into other different areas. And oftentimes it's, yeah, you're part of a group and this, okay, great. People in the group can take over. I'm the group. That's just me. So I haven't found anybody in that specific situation.
Mhm. So nobody that you're exposed to currently has this experience.
Right.
Okay. I'm curious if you had a patient or client that experienced a place where they had such a scenario. What might you offer them?
Hmm. I guess I'd and I've been asking people and the patients I see, what's one ADHD related thing you could work on this year? So it may be, yeah, I'm going to get rid of more stuff in my house so it's less cluttered, or I'm going to look at being able to finish projects that I've started. And some of them I'm going to work at not being late. So time management things.
Mhm.
So I probably do much the same as we are right now, looking at, okay, what's one step you could take and that will get you closer to being able to be on time. Um, and I loved something my friend Alan Brown, who's a ADHD coach, said in one of his informal sessions. He said, 1% is awesome. If you get 1% that day, and the way compounding and all that stuff works, if you did 1% a day over a month, you're 37%.
And
I've just,
also usually the first step is hardest.
mm-hmm,
Yeah.
yeah. And so that's where even a little bit counts.
Yeah. And so I think you really hit it on the head, and where you would tell someone experiencing the same situation to sort of take this big thing, what they have, whether it's tardiness, time management, or anything else. In your area would be time flexibility, and sort of break it down to see what might be available. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious if you'd be open to me sharing something with you, what other people have found helpful.
Sure. That'd be
Yeah.
great.
So it's interesting. Many people go through life and they have an experience of what maybe it costs them to live or how much they have, and they're not really certain how much they need to have or if they have enough. And getting that clarity allows them to have a little more security that they could cut back, that it's okay. I'm at a stage where maybe I can take a break or step back a bit.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on?
So stepping back, yeah, I guess, stepping back to look at it, um, in that big picture. And that would say, okay, you've got a Saturday, you don't get whatever you need to get done Saturday in 2 or 3 hours in the morning. Where are you going to go to be able to sit and do that? And actually, there's a little park right next to a nice river. It's maybe 15 miles away. So I could go up there, take my camp chair, sit there. I'm at the river. I'm looking at some mountains. So I'm in a little bit of that environment I'm looking for, and step back and say, okay, how can I put these pieces together? Maybe I make it as a puzzle and put all the different things and arrange them in a puzzle, and okay, almost like the Candyland game, you got the path going around. Okay, what are the steps? How's the path going to be put together?
And I love it. I love how you just sort of understood for yourself. And I'd like you to write that, a place that you can get a little more of this. If it's just Saturdays right now, and Saturdays is the only day, how can I make Saturday count? And maybe
Mm-hmm.
enjoying Saturday in this little space that I want will give me more time to reflect upon what are my next steps, what areas can I work with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that is the way we try to make this reality, this picturing. You got really comfortable. And it sort of is not only a motivator, but you can always come back to this, hang it where you want, so that you're seeing what it is I'm working for. What is my end goal for all this work? And am I working too hard that I'm never going to get to my end goal? Right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I want to make sure that this is where I'm headed for. And then I become more at ease and more aligned with how I'm spending. I'm more intentional. And that part where it's neurodivergent is hard to connect. This will help me because it's my vision. It stays with me. The more I feel it,
Mm-hmm.
sense it, see it, smell it, the more it's there.
Yeah, exactly. If it's just, yeah, I get this picture in my head and I'm going to be there, but then I'm going to pay off the credit card bill, or I'm going to do this and that and lose track, because it's too nebulous and it's too much in the future as far as ADHD and neurodivergent folks. So that, yeah, bringing it more alive. And even I thought of, okay, if I'm sitting there, I'll take a little video on my phone so I can play that every once in a while and remember that if I, make this puzzle and put the pieces together, I'll take a picture of it and I'll have it where I can see it. So there's
Fabulous.
that ongoing reinforcement of it. It's not just kind of a picture in my mind.
Yeah. And that's why I say hanging it up. I love that idea. Yeah. So really even being engaged in it, the more you're engaged, the more you're realistic about what can I do
Mhm.
now? How can I make more of that feeling? And then, ooh, I like that feeling. We know as neurodivergent people, when we like a feeling, we want that feeling more. How can I get
Yep.
more of that?
Hmm. Yeah. You get that dopamine hit
Yeah.
and think, oh, yeah, okay, I want to look at how to do that more. Yes, I'm interested in moving toward that,
Yeah.
because it can seem like there's so much other stuff in it. There's this huge mountain. Um, and what is it? The journey of 10,000 miles starts with the first step.
That's right. What are your thoughts on that activity?
I'm sorry.
What are your thoughts on the activity?
Um, I think that's just a great way to do it. Now it's getting to be springtime, might be a little warmer. Otherwise, I'd be in a blanket, a big jacket, and everything else to sit there.
Yeah.
Um,
And so
so,
for all the viewers out there, you can do the same thing. You've been taken
mhm,
through this
exactly.
experience. And I've done this with numerous people, and people have come up with these fascinating pictures. I remember a client coming up with, and we do this with couples or partners or spouses where they're both drawing it for their goal, and they may not be the same pictures. And I remember someone
Right.
sitting there having this picture of a little shed in the background with a vegetable garden. And her spouse was like, "What is that?" And she's like, "Oh, I've always wanted to have my own vegetables." He's like, "I never knew that." He's like, "What's the shed in the back?" She goes, "I want a studio for art." He's like, I didn't even know that's in your realm. And so now you
Ah,
start talking about what you want, what you want to do with your money, what is exciting, and you start blending and merging it with the people that are important around you to start making steps towards that vision. And the money should be
mhm,
going towards making sure that that's where we're headed to.
mhm. You mentioned garden, and I had actually forgotten them. So now there's a little garden off to one side there, because yes, I like gardening, and boy, that that time is just not there. But that would be wonderful to have that time to
And
do
you
it.
don't have to sit in one picture because we're evolving human beings. So I like
Hmm.
to do
Hmm.
this activity more than once, maybe once a month. Like, where am I at today? What would I want for next month? Maybe just 1 month now. What do I
Hmm.
want to create my life to be more feeling like I've got control or understand or connect with what I'm doing. Because it's really hard when it's so nebulous, like you say.
Yeah. When the world is too much with us, and that's what's in front of us, and all these little tiny details, and getting interrupted and remembering have to pick up the kids from school and who's going to what sport tonight and whatever patient things I've got to connect. Oh, and there are these other three parts of my life I have to pay attention to, but I'm tired because it's 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah, and it's coming at you, right? All the technical part of life is coming. You can barely keep up with the technical. Who has time for these visuals and excitement? But that's what, at the end of the day, that's what we crave. We crave to know where we're headed to. We crave to understand and be aligned with the feelings. And sometimes they just feel out of reach. So this is a really good activity. It gives you the hands-on. And for all the viewers out there, you can feel free to reach out to us. We can mail it to you or send it to you in an email or however else. That would be
So
helpful.
yes, you have that picture your success diagram, and Simi can mail that to you. If you go to her website, send an email, and have in the subject line ADHD Focus Podcast, and then in the body of the email, put your mailing address, and she can mail it to you.
Yep, we can email or mail it, whichever one you prefer. Just send us an email on our website, which is www.prosper, P-R-O-S-P, no E for no excuses, R.fit, F-I-T like fitness.
Great. I like that. No excuses, no E.
No excuses. That's the New York part of me, the tough part.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I grew up just north of the city, so I know the tough part.
But in general, working with neurodivergency and money, and our specialty is cash flow management. So we started off by saying planners, advisors, they help you really figure out what to do with your money. We're the step before that. We want to make you comfortable with the money so that you know how much you could put away. We want to make sure that you're protected with who you are, your money personality is taken care of, and that we know your expenses so that you know what to put away. You get it. And so when you go into them, you're pretty well prepared. A lot of financial advisors will send us clients as well that there may be their money is a mess, or there's confusion or haziness or whatever else it is, and they need some clarity. So those are the ways that financial therapists, financial coaches, and counselors can help.
So the people that come to you from a financial planner, what are the stumbling blocks they're running into when they're neurodivergent?
They can't seem to pull the trigger on something. They just feel stuck. They're like not certain. In a way, it feels like a straitjacket. For a neurodivergent person, working at a 9-to-5 job feels a little bit like a prison to them. And they like that flexibility. If they know they have to commit to money going away, that's a commitment that they're a little concerned about. What do you mean I can't touch it? What do you mean I can't have access to it? So that gets a little concerning. And so we want to make sure that the person feels that they have some leverage of freedom, that they understand their money, that we have that. It's okay to put that away. It's in line. Creating this vision board makes it also more palatable. Like, okay, I'm not just putting it away. I'm putting it away. I know where, I know why.
Yeah, I know what I want to attach it to, rather than, oh, okay, that's savings account or money market or whatever it is. And I get to look and see the numbers getting a little bit bigger. Well, that doesn't have the same satisfaction of, yes, and I'm going to be able to get this and this, and I know what I'm aiming for when I have that money put away. Boy, that's just a great approach. And hopefully for those of you listening and haven't been able to watch, you can still certainly get the 6-point visualization steps, or you can look on YouTube or Roku and Fire Stick, where ADHD Focus is streaming on the experts and authors.tv channel. And as of 2 months ago, it's on Apple TV. So I know when my producer a couple of years ago said, man, it's great. I finally got this contract with Roku and Fire Stick. I said, great. What's that? Because I have no idea what those things are. But I'm glad that all of listeners and viewers out there can find it anytime. Well, Simi, it's been great to talk with you. Thank you so much for being here. I've thoroughly enjoyed working with you. I guess now I've got some vision and plan on how to get there, and hope everybody else can look at just looking at that picture, the one that gets bigger and bigger as all these green uh, drops are coming down, and what's in those pictures, what's the one that's really grabs you, and then fleshing that out and getting it clear. I think it's a great way for us ADHD folks to get to where we want to be.
Yeah, it really is. And it's just one method. There are so many different methods, and really being connected. So if you're having a difficult time with your money going to those places as an ADHD or neurodivergent person, maybe having someone else handle it, or maybe having a certain amount dedicated to you that is your splurge money, so that it's not feeling so constricted, but
Mm-hmm.
the idea of the money is actually flowing and moving towards good places. And there are so many things that we offer in, especially I know in Anaheim, you were there and we did the saver model and explained different
Mm-hmm.
options. But this particular podcast was just about this technique on the
Mm-hmm.
visualization, how to maybe create your own vision board and go crazy with it. Go on to Etsy, get little colors on it, put confetti or glitter or
Yeah,
stickers or
have it
any
a collage.
a
Right.
collage. Cut out pictures from magazines, make it a board.
Exactly. Exactly.
Enjoy, enjoy. The more you play with
Yeah.
it, the more it will happen, the more steps you'll take towards that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we can do another podcast on the saber approach and some of the other approaches, because it's this is a world unknown to me, the financial behavior therapist, which I think is a great one and really helps step into that emotion instead of money and that instant defense wall. I don't want to have to deal with that. And also with the saving toward the future, it's not denying yourself because, okay, that I don't get to touch that money because I want it to go there, but it's rewarding yourself as you go along. And okay, you don't have to go crazy shopping on Amazon because you're putting it to something you want to get to,
Yeah.
and having it right in front of you, um, having colored paper and glitter and confetti, and cutting out pictures that show you show the places you want to get to, and maybe okay, some gardening tools and a small garden, and then work it up to where you want to be. So now I'm spinning off on our ADHD mind starts to go in all these different directions. That associational mind of thinking, oh, they could do that. Oh, yeah, that'd be cool. And I go to here and there. Um, so I think this approach really, the ADHD mind has an advantage because we can see a lot of things. And if it's just seeing it, thinking it in our mind's eye, then it's still nebulous. But if you can put it in color, on paper, on a board, and you're making a collage, you're touching it, you're seeing it, and that's going to bring it more alive in your mind, and you can get to where you're going.
Yeah. And so the next time I speak to you, you may be telling me that you, by mistake, spent the whole Saturday doing all this arts and crafts, and you had no time to enjoy the actual vision because you were so busy, because neurodivergency, we get so entrenched in it, we forget about everything
Absolutely.
else.
Yeah. The hyper focus, and that's all right. As long as I picked a Saturday when there's nothing else going on.
That's right.
Otherwise, the alarm's going to go off on my phone that says, oh yeah, you're supposed to meet so and so in half an hour. And okay, now this stuff's all laid out on the floor, and I can come back and it's all laid out and the cat's lying in the middle of it. Or I can set 3 alarms, an hour before and half hour before. Or pick one where there isn't anything going on. And every once in a while, they're there. So thanks again, Simi. It was great to talk with you. Really appreciated your time, and we'll talk again soon. This is
Thank
your
you for
host of
having me.
ADHD Focus, podcast that dispels the myths around ADHD. And I think the one we addressed today is, oh, I'm not a business person. Oh, I can't do that financial stuff. Someone else ought to do it. Well, you can, and we can. And thanks for joining us.